Even now, some 2 decades later, you can't help but ask, what was she thinking? What was it that drove schoolteacher Mary Kay Letourneau to begin a secret affair with her 12-year-old student, Vili Falau? Mary said it was true love, but no one else saw it that way. She was jailed twice and even had 2 children to the underage Vili. But somehow the relationship endured. Remarkably, they're still together today. Here's Matt Doran.
What about these as parents? You've got some good parents here. I'm trying to work out where the looks come from, whether you've got mum's looks or dad's looks, or it's a mixture of both.
I think it's a good mixture of both.
Yeah.
For a brief time, this was the most talked about family on earth. Mary Kay Letourneau made world news when she seduced her 12-year-old student, Vili Falau.
A 35-year-old teacher who had sex with a 13-year-old 6th grader sentenced to 18
Mary
days.
Kay Letourneau, the last person you would suspect of being a molester of children.
Vili is now her husband. Then there's their children. Audrey, born while their mother was on trial, and Georgia, born in prison.
Do you kind of understand, you know, what all the furor, all the interest was about at the time?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I understand about it.
It was wrong, and I am sorry.
As we'll see tonight, this is a family still grappling with the truth of what happened more than 2 decades ago, and who was to blame.
No matter, you know, what you might call this relationship, it certainly hasn't been fleeting. How long have you both been married for now?
I think this year was 13. Yeah, 13, and then 2005, 6, 7. Okay, yeah.
About 13 years.
13
I mean,
plus, yeah.
That's quite incredible. Has that time gone quickly, slowly?
Time kind of just really flies by, actually. Yeah. And you're busy every day, so.
Well, you're busy. You're busy, very, very busy being parents.
Yeah.
I think those years were so, when you're moving through the school years, those went really fast, it seems. I'm like, oh my goodness, weren't they just 6 and 8? Just, I'm like, whoa. And that's what I tell parents, like, it's going to go fast. And it's like, every day matters. And because we have friends with children that were once our children's age in grade school and middle school, high school, and now both of our daughters are graduated recently. And it just, especially high school, it seemed to go by very quickly. There were so many involvements, their activities,
Yeah.
and you just like staying on it, uniforms for this, and going from this activity to this activity, and here comes the homecomings, the proms, and it just keeps going, and fast, and all of a sudden, what? All of a sudden
They're gone.
No,
Well,
really.
not gone, but
Well, it's funny you should mention that. You're on the cusp of a big life event as parents. Your youngest is preparing to do the unthinkable and move out, Vili. How are you coping?
you know, it's natural, I guess. You know, I hear like a lot of people, a lot of girls who turn 18, they kind of just leave the nest, and then if you're a guy, you kind of stay in a little longer.
Oh, I think the opposite.
And that's just what I heard.
Oh, I think the opposite. But yeah, our daughter was college bound, and now she has a different idea, and so we have to be patient with that. Mm-hmm. So she was always our youngest. We're going to be patient with that.
I know I was out when I was
to take
16, so.
16?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, guys are a little bit different. A lot of the guys I know, they hang in longer because they get the free rent, you know. But guys are very basic like that.
Why not? You get free meal.
I see where
free
you're.
rent.
I see where you're both coming from. All right.
And girls, they're a little more independent. You know, a lot of the girls that I knew growing up, they were out of their house when they were 18. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, give me a sense, Vili, if you could, of your upbringing, your childhood. You come from fair to say, a very big family.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad was married 5 times, and there's a total of 18 of us siblings. We didn't grow up all together. I grew up with my 4 full-blooded siblings. I eventually met the rest of them when growing up. I still have more to meet, but yeah.
That's a sort of a crazy upbringing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot going on at Christmas or around the family dinner table.
It just stays simple. I mean, not everyone gets a Christmas gift, but yeah, just close relatives, you know.
Yeah, Mary, what about you? What about your background and your upbringing? Tell me a bit about your family.
All right. So, my father was married once. Just saying. Where are we going?
And tell me a bit about your father.
I have a mother my father's passed away, and I have 6 siblings. 5 still living.
Was it a Catholic upbringing for you, Mary?
Yes.
And what did that involve? How kind of devout, how traditional was your family in that regard?
For me, it's just a beautiful heritage. That's how I do think of it. And I just, personally, when I've traveled internationally, something about going into a Catholic church, it's just, they're all the same in the sacredness feeling. And it's just a, I know you're asking what was that like as if there's some uniqueness to being raised Catholic. But I guess I'm just taking present. How does it feel to have been raised Catholic? I just, I just think of it historically, because it's not just that I was raised Catholic, it's both of my parents are from a Catholic family, and back and back and back and back, so that's why I say a heritage. And so when I go into a Catholic church, doesn't matter where it is, it just feels really good. It's like this flooding of my heritage. And I won't say that I am entirely, if someone put a certain doctrine in front of me that was Catholic, said, what do you think of this? It doesn't mean a lot to me. I'm more, I shouldn't say it like that. I don't I wouldn't say, because that's like rules, the doctrine of the Catholic Church, and I'm more appreciative of the roots of the Catholic Church, which is really just the core of Christianity. People think there's a difference. Really? No,
and
there isn't.
that could be a
No,
whole
there
separate
isn't.
lengthy discussion.
No, I'm just saying, no, there isn't. No, I'm not sure what your question was, but I think that you think that I think you're asking about if there was a uniqueness, if I think there was a uniqueness.
Let me ask you about you two. When did you first meet Billy?
Meet? Well, I met his brothers and older sister before I met him. So there are 4 in his family. And then the first time I was familiar with the name Billy Fula'au, gosh, I don't know, 1989, 88, not sure.
Was that when you were his year 2 teacher?
He was one of my students back then. I hardly remember. Of course, I remember his name. So, and I knew the Fula'au family because I knew the other siblings. So, before, and then here came a unique one, So, well, they're all quite unique, as any family, I think, or all the siblings are unique.
This will be a test of your memory, Billy. I mean, you would have been 8 or so back then. Do you have any memory of those years?
He's
I
told
have
me.
like, not really like good memories, but some of them are just random, just pretty much random stuff.
What sort of memories?
Like I remember hiding in the closet. There was a closet in the
Oh, no.
in the classroom, and then me and my friends, we used to be in there hiding in the classroom.
From Mary?
Why don't you say what you were doing hiding in the
We were
closet?
just hiding in the closet.
No, what did you tell me you were doing?
That's weird to talk about right now.
Which only makes me want to know about it even more. Go on, Mary. What was he doing in the closet?
Oh,
It's
this
just
is
really-
what you said to me is like, yeah, we'd hide in the closet and we'd hope you'd walk past so we could look under your skirt. I'm like, what the heck? I mean, who's like tells like years later, like, is that what you told? It is what you told me.
Does that make you feel better?
No, I'm just saying.
Do I need a pause for mediation here?
No, I'm just saying it was like, what does he remember? That's what he told me he remembered. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, right.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah. There's also like 2 or 3 girls in there that liked me, and I used to get like these weird messages from them, like little notes.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
I thought I was so aware. I had no idea there were closet. The closet spanned the whole side of this, so it's not like just for the visual. And there were these big, giant, like from bottom to top, the doors. All right.
What attracted you to teaching initially, Mary?
I just found myself. I was originally in the School of Music in college and always had the music background. And I found myself, music and dance. I found myself in teaching positions, whether it be coaching or choreography. And I just, once I got to college, and as much as I enjoyed it, and I believed that I knew I was good in the arts in that area, and I so enjoyed it, and I thought I might join what's called Kids of the Kingdom, which was part of Disneyland. They traveled, and they did dance and singing, music. So I thought, oh yeah, that may be where I'll start, right? And so far as what would someone do with a background in music and that kind of interest. But when I got to college, I found that I was good.
Is this music or teaching are you talking about?
I'm talking about music.
Can I ask
and
about
this is
teaching?
this is what happened. I found I was an A at teaching. Because even the professors at college, they was like, oh, will you take this group over here? They recognized, and even prior to that, prior to getting to college, I was coaching this and choreography, and I realized that, you know what, I'm a B in music and dance. I'm a B, good. That's good, nothing wrong with a B. But I was an A at teaching, and everybody recognized it, and I've soon recognized for myself that I was really an A.
What made you an A at teaching?
I think just being tuned in to a lot of good listening and being aware, and how about just really making clear what the objective is and setting the goals, adjusting them along the way as the learning or the gaps are showing, knowing how to adjust things and bringing in the resources, and it just was natural, very natural.
Can you remember back, Villy, to being a student? Was Mary a good teacher?
I remember all the kids really tuned into what she was saying. Yeah. I don't really know what to look for and what a good teacher, what a good bad teacher is. For me, a good teacher would keep my attention. And a bad teacher would be someone who talks, you know, where it's like kind of monotone, where it's kind of like, just kind of fall asleep while the teacher's talking, which just happened a lot of times in middle schools.
Well, it's fair to say Mary had your attention, I believe. What? This is a tough question. What first attracted you to Mary? Can you remember?
She was pretty, and yeah, I think that was it. And then, I don't know. I kind of like that she drew a little bit. She taught some art stuff, and I thought that was kind of cool. And then I think like in 6th grade we kind of connected on certain things. Kind of like saw common views on stuff, life, and
Similar interests.
yeah. So
Mary, when did you first realise, I have feelings for a student?
Probably, well, first of all, he wasn't my student when any feelings. So, which I think is really important. Here, it was very important for here in the United States, in the state of Washington, it was really important for it to be put out, and I guess politically in a lot of legislation. It was important to portray it as if it was a student-teacher relationship, but it really wasn't. So even though once upon a time, even you ask, well, when did you first? Well, I feel kind of awkward answering that because it's sort of wanting to connect it to this was a student-teacher relationship, and which is really big in law, and doesn't matter coach, teacher, supervisory.
She's basically saying it was like sometime.
It was after.
Yeah.
So I am saying
Summer.
that. I was taking college classes for my continuing education, for my certification in teaching. You have to have it every 5 years. You got to update. So, or else they pull your certification. So, and same in a lot of industry professions. You have to do continuing education. I had classes. He was also in a class at the same college. So for summer, so yes, it was summer school, but it was a class in the summer.
Let me ask you, Villy, in a different way. At what point did this morph, I guess, from teacher and former student to boyfriend and girlfriend?
Just a friendship, really. And then during summertime, you know, things just got a little closer, and you know, there was some I don't even know how to say it, dramatic stuff going on, drama.
Really? What?
There was plenty of dramatic stuff going on.
I don't know, there was a lot of things that kind of just led to us kind of connecting on a deeper level, and then it got even more wild, crazy once the police found out and her husband found out. And I
think at least we spoke to each other as if in that summer we felt like it was boyfriend, girlfriend. And that's why, I guess that's what there wasn't a teacher, well, when you consider we were in the same college, we both took an art class at the same college, and I think it felt really great. I'm just saying it felt great because we were so close as friends. And then just to not be his teacher in any capacity, and to be friends, and to be working on the same projects just on the same level. It just felt great. And just saying, I don't know what was dramatic going on, but I mean, inside of us, probably, yeah. When we realized I don't know, you called me your girlfriend. I was,
I did.
yeah, you did.
It's best not to argue. It's best not to argue, Billy. This is my experience.
Now it's my husband. Yeah.
When Mary did Billy make it clear to you that he was interested in you physically, sexually, I guess? Can you remember that moment? You must remember that moment.
I just remember, yes, there was one point, and I said, put that away. I just meant the idea. And there's a story about that. I don't know how much time we have, but.
How did that idea manifest, Billy? What did you say?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, I appreciated, this is the wrong word, but there was a moment where he said that he did say he was in love with me. And it scared me. And
That was before anything physical between you both? He said he was in love?
oh yeah. Like, I don't know. Yeah, like weeks, a month.
Did it feel like love to you back then, Billy?
Yeah. I mean, for anyone, yeah. It's what you would, I don't know, for me, yeah. I mean, for anybody, first time, figure out what love is for the first time, that's all you know. So for what I know that it was back then, yeah, I would say that was real love.
I'm trying to take a couple of steps back to when you first made that brave decision to say something to Mary. Was it initially on a dare or, in front of your mates?
Yeah, it was actually, it started off that way with trying to get closer to her, but that was the reason.
Of which I knew nothing about.
Yeah, so that's how her and I started talking, was because there was that bet. And then, later down the road in the relationship, kind of just, the bet just wasn't even, it hadn't even crossed my mind anymore, so.
Well, so one thing, and I think this is an answer to your question. It was, and I still think about this moment, and still, because I remember, I'm just saying, every time I think about this moment, you remember when you came to me to write, you said, wait, and this was when it was a very, very end of the school year. And I don't even think school was really, I think it was basically done, things were closing up, but I was on my way out the door, and he said, wait a minute. And he said, how old do you think you're gonna be when you die? And I said, I was really excited because I'm gonna talk about my grandmother, right? And I know I just said my mom's gonna live till 100, but my grandmother, which is not even her mother, my father's mother, she really did live to 103. And so I was really excited because he had never asked about my grandmother or any, thing maybe beyond my parents. And I said, well, I'm gonna at least be 100 because my grandmother right now is 100. And I'm most like her. I started talking about how she still teaches piano, and she was 100, right? And I was really excited inside that he was interested in, I don't know. I was excited to talk about my grandmother, and he cut me off, and he said, well, if you're gonna be 100, then I'm gonna be 80 because I'm not living another day in this world without you. And I just was like, I looked.
It's a pretty romantic thing for a teenage boy to say.
I said, you just said that to me? But at the time, we were just close. And I was, a little tiny bit of me was like, you just cut me off. I was talking about my grandmother. And I mean, if someone asked you to talk about your grandmother, well, I guess you didn't really ask me. I thought I thought it was an opening to talk about my grandmother, which I was proud to talk about.
If you extrapolate the age forward like that, it makes it sound better, right? But, back then, 34 and 13, did you have a sense that what you were doing wasn't right?
Hearing him say,
Putting the grandmother aside at just the age.
80 and 100. Well,
What about back then, though, 34 and 13?
I was just thinking about 80 and 100, if you want to know the truth.
No, a part of you was thinking about, part of you must have been thinking, Mary. By all accounts, everyone in Des Moines says you're one of the best teachers going around, a fierce intellect. You must have known, such a smart woman, that something wasn't right about what was going on at that age.
Well, just know that there wasn't any thought or any idea that something was going to happen. So no, there wasn't a thought about, we were just, even when he said 80 and 100, I was just thinking, you're so right, I don't want to live another day without you either. No, it wasn't a thought of, oh, and we're going to have children, and there wasn't a thought like that. It was that type of a closeness that you're so right. I don't want to live another day without you either.
What's fascinating about your relationship is that it has endured. That separates it from anything else that might go in what people would call teacher-student space. But I think what I'm trying to get at is a sense of back at the time, at its inception, before this had evolved into something like love. Wasn't this just a physical relationship between a woman and a man, or I should say at that point, a little boy?
Well, you shouldn't say a little boy.
He was 13.
I know, but you shouldn't say a little boy.
Well, a teenage boy.
Well, some people are incarcerated in this state at age 13, and they're treated as an adult, and they're not called little boys, and they get a life sentence. So when you put it in that perspective, so it's like, which angle do you want to come at?
I want to come at it from the angle. No, I'll tell you.
Do you want to know? Are you hearing what I'm saying?
I'm hearing what you're saying, but I want to come at it from this angle. As a 34-year-old woman, did you have any philosophical problems, moral problems, with entertaining the idea of a relationship with a 13-year-old boy?
Well, I wasn't entertaining the idea, and that's my point.
But you clearly were. Eventually, we both. And did you have any pause at the time, thinking, Mary, stay away from him, this isn't right?
What I thought is, he doesn't understand that I have 4 children and I have responsibilities. That's the only thing. And you have to keep in mind that now it's 20 years ago, and sure, in the last 10 years, all across the world, the laws have changed, and you'll even see, ever since Mary Letourneau, but see, that was 20 years ago. Now everybody has their eyes open and is aware, surely, I hope every teacher, and forget about even the teacher part, I would hope that every adult that's a female, regardless of being a teacher, would know, after my situation, pay attention, because there are laws. You might think when you're in a world, we were close, and no, we weren't thinking about those things. No, I wasn't. There were no laws back there were no situations.
No, there were laws. There were laws, Mary.
Oh,
the law was
there weren't.
statutory rape.
For males. And if you look historically, it was a male only. And then the laws changed when equality. Let's go, Matt, on this. You want to? Because I'm ready.
Sure.
Okay, so the Equal Rights Amendments from state to state here in the United States, and it even happened over in Australia, New Zealand, and what's called the Equal Rights Amendment. And what they did is they gender neutraled the laws. Prior to that, it was male only. It was a male only statutory rape. So when did somebody get on the news and say, hello, world, or hello, New Zealand, hello, or I don't know how you do your states over there, but if they're in states. Nobody did a press release here in the state of Washington or in California where I was from and said, we have now changed the laws. It is no longer gender specific, a male only. When I grew up, sure, as a teenager, I knew that, if that male, the males knew, because it was a well-known thing, because a lot of dads out there were saying, stay away from the daughters here in this house, because I'll get a shotgun out, because you're older, and I can go to the police, and it would be called statutory rape. I don't care if you love my daughter. You're 26, you're 30, whatever you are, and my daughter's only 16, 13, 15, whatever. It was a very well-known, statutory rape was. It was very well known. It didn't matter if there was love. It didn't matter if it was consensual. And that word is there. Statutory, meaning it doesn't matter if there's consent. Male only, and it's not until, and if you can look all across any kind of scholastic reading on this that goes historically, and my name will even be there, not until my situation in the law, the conflict in the law, did.
So are you saying there was confusion about the law at that time, or that you didn't understand
Nobody
the law?
knew it. Who knew it? Who knew it?
But you knew.
No.
Mary, come on. You knew that it was not right, even if it wasn't black and
Maybe
white.
morally.
If you didn't have the
maybe
statutory
morally,
papers there,
morally.
you knew.
Morally, is that's what you're saying? Morally.
No, I'm saying morally and legally.
Not the legally part, no.
But you were such a smart person.
One, I'd never even been in a courtroom. Yes, I am a smart person, but I'm like hyper-focused in my areas.
So you're saying, Matt, I'm a smart person, I'm revered as a teacher, but I just didn't know it wasn't right as a 34-year-old to be with a 13-year-old? Sorry, I just didn't know.
Not in a criminal sense, but I thought, first of all, you just said teacher again. And
well, you were his teacher in second grade.
once upon a time. Yeah, okay, you keep going back to that.
Not at the same. I'm not saying it
Yeah.
happened then. I'm saying
Yeah.
at one point you were his teacher. Look, I'm not trying to get into semantics over that. I'm just trying to accept. In the end, you stood up in court and pleaded guilty to 2 counts of child rape.
To some elements.
2 counts of child rape.
Well, the only thing that title is a deterrent, and I'm glad it's there as a deterrent. Now I understand the laws in general.
Yeah, but I don't want to talk about the
title.
logistics of the law, Mary. I mean, you stood up and said, yes, I did it. I did something wrong.
No, I fit the elements that equal guilty to the elements, and we don't have to. If you really want to go into like the. Let's see, where do we want to go on this?
I just want to see. I'm trying to get a sense of whether you think you did anything wrong.
At the time?
At the time and now.
Okay, I want you to also respect one thing. We're married. This is
I appreciate
my
that.
husband. Okay, so when you and we're not like between us, we know what happened at the time, and it's entirely not appropriate to talk about because we're not. We know.
So we move on to
We
the next
know.
question.
No, I'll just.
But isn't
I'll just
it
finish
a
up.
fair question? I'll ask you too, Villy, because I don't want to disrespect
Okay,
you guys.
I will say.
Is it a fair question to ask? Is it a fair question to ask you both whether you think at the time, Mary, you were doing anything wrong?
If you knew the personal situation with us, and on that side, I wanted everything to go away. I am like a big peacemaker, and I thought, you know what? We're not going to have this go into a trial because that's drama. That brings in my father. It brings in his family, and no matter what personally happened between us, that as far as those moments that changed everything, in those moments, we know. And the fact that I decided that I, as the adult, was going to make this go away, and we would all get on with our lives, and that I would get back, and not even get back, resume. Like, I got some responsibilities to some children, and a marriage to resolve, and for the best of everybody, I said, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna stand up, and this is gonna just, the least amount of drama, the least amount of harm.
Mary, I can't accept that. This goes to the heart of the whole story for me. When you say the best for everybody, what I'm trying to ask is whether it was the best for Billy at the time. I mean, he was a 13-year-old boy, he had a big decision to make. Was it the best for everybody, Billy?
To continue it?
You're saying you made a big adult choice, Mary. And I'm not trying to turn this into an adversarial interview. I'm trying to say, when you say you made a big adult choice and made the decision that was best for everyone, was it best for Billy?
Oh, you mean,
To
should I
pursue
have?
this.
Okay, so should
But
I have?
if you would
if
appreciate it, I just
had
want to let
said-
Billy speak. Can you
but
answer
if
that
I-
question, Billy?
Let's clarify the question, though.
You...
Should I have said not guilty and brought him to trial?
No. Should you have pursued the relationship at all? Should you have walked away?
You're presuming that I
Both of you. It's a question to
pursued
both
it.
of you. You were the adult, Mary.
Okay, but that doesn't mean the personality makes it
Okay.
so.
Here's a succinct way of saying it, and I appreciate this is a difficult discussion.
Well, I think it's kind of disrespectful that we're married and you're going there.
No, because it's the inception. I just want to get that. I just want to deal with what happened at the time. I appreciate that you're married and this is an enduring relationship. I understand that. I'm not saying it was wrong. I'm asking you to answer the critics, okay, at the time. Billy, you're 13 years old. You're transported back. You can make the decision all over again to pursue this relationship. Do you do it?
Would I do it after knowing my kids now? I think there would be a lot of things that I probably would have changed. I mean, I've looked at it. I spent a lot of time thinking about it. Like, if I was to pursue it, what would have happened? What ifs? And I really don't know. I can't. There was a lot of complicity of emotions going on with the both of us, her and her personal life and my personal life. And I think a lot of those elements kind of brought us together to be where we are today. Was it right? Was it wrong? I don't know. All I know is that it happened, and everything that did happen, that we do speak of, that we felt within our hearts for each other, was real. But in the legal system and for the average normal it is obviously wrong for many reasons. And I respect the law and the reasons for those laws. And from personal experience and from seeing other people go through it, it is what it is.
Would you say this story, your story, is almost an exception to the law because you fell in love? That makes it all okay?
I wouldn't say it's okay, but I think a lot of it could have been handled a different way. Could have been less stressful on the both of us. When they found out about it, I mean, I'm pretty sure this type of stuff isn't new, and it's gone back ages. But our story was the first one to be publicized, and
I can't imagine how tough it was to live through that for the both of you. The media storm, the court case. What was it like back then in the eye of the storm?
The media, the court. At that time, all I was thinking about through that entire time was how she was doing and was she okay? And would she be able to get back to her family, her kids? I never really thought about myself. I was more worried about what she was going to be doing, you know, or how she was doing. And I kind of felt like maybe they should have gave us a chance to talk things out, or at least work things out. They kind of just cut the contact, you know, between us. And I just think that that wasn't right. I think they should have at least maybe supervised visits or something to at least talk things out, or figure out what's going to go. You know, I mean, considering that she had given birth to my child, and it was a real struggle. I mean, there was a lot of things I didn't understand at that age. I didn't know anything about the law. I didn't know anything about raising a family. I didn't know anything about. All I knew was that I loved her. That was it. I didn't know anything. Like I said before, it's basically like anybody who's figuring out love for the first time. Their first taste of it, you know, and that was me. And you know, and then I just think I think a lot of cases just kind of get put into categories, and you know, they see the highlight of it, but they don't really look at the individuals a little more deeply. I think what happened with us was that, you know, this is huge. You know, she's a beautiful sixth grade teacher. Her background, you know, where she comes from, where I come from, they figured, oh, this is a really great story, and they just ran with it. Was anybody caring for her feelings or my feelings? No, nobody really cared about that. And I think, and I'm not trying to play the victim here about any of it. I just think that it should have. There's a lot of things that could have happened, but they didn't. There's a lot of help that we both could have gotten that didn't happen.
Have you at any point, Billy, felt like a victim? People like to call you a victim.
Well, growing up, I've always had people telling me that's not really how I feel. You know, that, oh, she made you feel that way. So I was always getting that. So now that I'm older, and I've grown up and I've been through so many experiences, I know my feelings. I know who I am. I know who I am as a person. I know, and I love every little thing about me. And I wouldn't change who I am and all my experiences that I've come through in life that brought me here. I mean, it's been a ride for sure, and and I think there is always going to be critics, you know, out there. A lot of people that just wouldn't understand. I mean, I for one can't, you know, being 35 and looking back, like switching the roles. I mean, I for one couldn't do that. When I look at it, I mean, after even raising my own kids and looking back at it, I was like, I for sure couldn't do it.
What do you mean by couldn't do that?
I mean, just from knowing everything that I know now, I mean, I couldn't, I mean, even without knowing, and seeing a 13-year-old, you know, now, you know, me being 35, I couldn't like look at a girl that young romantically.
Is that hard to hear, Mary?
I don't relate that to our situation.
But it's the exact same situation in reverse.
No, it isn't. That's no.
But
things
it is.
Things that are not actually the same should not be treated as if they are. But that's from the United States Supreme Court, by the way.
I mean, it doesn't even cross my mind. You know, I mean.
Guess what? It doesn't. Guess what? It doesn't cross my mind, and it never did. So I would never.
What do you mean it never did? I mean, it did.
When I didn't pursue it, but stop, Matt, please. Please.
I mean, in her defense,
stop.
I mean, the entire time when the relationship.
I never pursued it. I never thought about it, and it's never crossed my mind in any. Of course, it's like, I'm not saying there aren't, the reason there's a deterrent title like that is because maybe there are people that a male that might even consider
I would
it.
say there are people out there.
There might be, and
there are definitely. I mean, for us,
good reason there's the law is
I mean, there could
I'm
even
right
be
with
a
it.
guy that's my age that finds a 13-year-old attractive, and that I don't know. Just for me, I couldn't do it.
I don't, and he doesn't. We're saying neither of us think that way, but we're both happy that there's such a law that's
But Mary,
there.
you see what I'm saying, and I'm not trying to cause an argument here. When you were 34, you did think that way, and you did do exactly that.
I was pursued, and I didn't think about it. I did not think about it. Didn't.
But that's not an excuse for any crime, is it? And I'm not saying
No,
this
it's
is.
not.
You can't just go, I
Not.
didn't think about it, see you later, sorry.
No. Morally, I thought about, you know what? I'm not even technically single yet, and he's calling me his girlfriend. And I thought that was, it's like, this is not right. He needs to let me get on with my life, and I'll see you later. I'm not saying that in a cold way. It was breaking my heart to know there were two things. I wanted him to move on in his life and experience everything he needed to, all of his dying pledges of love. And I'm like, you got to go, you got to finish school, you got to do this. He was accepted into an one of the big art academies here already back then. And I wanted him to go experience life, and I wanted to raise my children. I didn't expect to get pregnant. Where we were at the time, whatever, I am entirely in support of the laws that are there.
So you're saying you're saying it's night and day, for example, between what you did and the laws that would surround pedophilia.
I'm actually was entirely evaluated probably 3-4 times, and there's not a single trait of anything inside of me that's pretty loud and clear in any document.
That's like
That's a child.
that's
and
like a
he
mental
wasn't- yeah.
imbalance where somebody has like this, like their attraction, what
To
they're attracted to, it kind of stops.
To prepubescent.
No, a child under.
No, prepubescent.
Well, a
It's
child, a
child.
13-year-old would qualify.
He wasn't prepubescent.
Does that
He was
make a difference?
Okay, first, let's go back. How many 13-year-olds are having sex with 13-year-olds? Plenty across the world, millions and billions.
Not a lot of them are having sex with 34-year-olds.
No, but are they having sex?
It's not relevant.
It is absolutely relevant. Are they having sex?
I don't see it as
Are
being
they having
relevant.
sex? Are they having sex?
I'm certain that they are, but how does
Okay.
that relevant to this case?
They're not children. They're developed. They're not children having sex with children. They're teenagers. They're doing actually really, and scholastically and across the board with even in legislation, they recognize that 13-year-olds are going to have sex.
So should we rip up the laws and say it's a free-for-all, 13-year-olds with whoever they like?
No, because there are cases, and it's called strict liability. There are cases where there could be abuse. There could be. So you have to have a law that acts as a deterrent, because there are people who might pursue and abuse a situation. But when 13-year-olds are with 15-year-olds, with 17-year-olds, with those really, when they're with, it's happening. We all know, everybody knows across the world it's happening. Teenagers, it's natural. There's no laws that are saying teenagers can't do that. They're going to. So you don't say, that pedophilia with pedophilia, that doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense. There are people that have disorders. The laws have to be there. They absolutely have to be there.
Do you agree, Billy?
Yeah. There are people out there. I mean, I've watched a documentary on pedophilia, or just because I was curious, because being in my situation, I was really curious about it.
As in whether you might have been a victim of pedophilia?
Yeah. So I was like curious to watch it and just listen to what some of these actual people that do have it, what they were talking about, and then these scientists were talking about like their brain. On how their attraction is almost like somebody with, I don't know how you call them. You wouldn't call them retards or mentally challenged. I don't know, what do you call them? But they're not fully grown, like that part of their brain doesn't fully grow. But everything else is growing, just not that part that they're attracted to. Like they could be your best friend. And in their mind, they're probably trying to figure out, why am I attracted to younger age range than my own? Some of them are just kind of, it's like a disability, is what you would say.
I can see you bristling at any mention of pedophilia in this discussion, Mary. I understand that. Are you saying, what you're saying is that this is a unique case, you've never been attracted to anyone else underage?
Okay, let's just, I hope this is, I want this to be useful to your audience, and I don't think it should be confused and overglossing that term is specific, like as Billy was talking. It has nothing to do with me. One, because he wasn't prepubescent, he wasn't a child, and we have to respect the intelligence of your audience.
No, but I've got to jump in on their behalf, because when you say he wasn't a child, he was 13.
Stop. Okay, shall we go back to 13-year-olds are having sex with 13-year-olds?
No. When you say he wasn't a child, that's the only part I'm grappling with.
Okay, if the two 13-year-old teenagers are having sex, do you want to say there's two children having sex? Is that what you would say?
Sure, but then I'd say it's infinitely worse if that 13-year-old has sex with an adult woman.
It is true, but we're not, let's not like stray away from, I want to entirely respect the intelligence of your audience. I am offended by the whole line of questioning, because I think on an intellectual level, I don't think you're giving, even to ask the question, I think you're misleading the audience to even, and all y'all, just look up the definition and then say, did he even ask the right question?
So why did you spend 7 years in prison? Why were you sent to prison?
We could talk for 4 hours and I would be happy to start, and any attorney out there, any legal authority will be right with me on this. It's called a strict liability law. If sexual intercourse happened, no matter if he was the aggressor, no matter if he initiated it, and being the younger, I am the adult, sexual intercourse happened. In our state, there are 3 elements. Sexual intercourse happened, the age difference, and third element, we were not married. What does that say right there? And we were not married. That means if we had been, in theory, if we had been married, no crime. I'm just saying.
But there's a reason that 13-year-olds don't marry 34-year-olds. It's just not right.
Oh, well, it happened in Virginia.
Well,
legally.
So should it be a free-for-all across the states?
No, but it is, it's not entirely, I'm just saying it's a strict liability, but you keep going back to that part, and I went, now, strict liability law means if it happened. It means if, same thing as when an oil company for whatever reason, spills oil into a river. Strict liability. It doesn't matter if it was negligence. It doesn't matter how it happened. It happened.
What I'm confused about...
So it just happened.
What I'm confused about, Mary, is whether or not you, in your mind, you think you did anything wrong, because you're throwing laws at me and consent and age and marriage.
You're giving your audience, you're throwing in these bandwagon terms, and I think it's confusing them.
Okay, can I put all those terms to one side? Did you do anything wrong?
I've always said, it was, should I have run from him? I did at one point say, say, you have to go. I did. I cried harder than, and I didn't know I was pregnant. But I did say, you have to go. Do you understand? You have to go. It was very hard.
I think legally it was wrong.
Well, we know legally it was wrong.
Okay.
We
And then
now know that.
Emotionally,
We
and,
now know that.
Emotionally, the connection that we felt for each other. Your answer would be yes or no.
I'm going to be the same as you. I would not take back anything. I'm going to say the same as you. And if I could do something different, one, I don't live a day like that. I do my best every single day. And I can look back and say, Mary, did you do your best every single day? And I'll say yes.
When you send,
every day.
When you send your children off now in the mornings, you say, I love you, do the right
Go
thing.
and do the right thing.
Did you do the right thing?
You know what? I'm not going to continue with you trying to have me answer that question. I told you I did my best every single day, and I lived my life that way, and I did. And in that situation, it doesn't even matter. I did my best. And even that I feel, even at the moment, do I wish I had a different attorney? That's the only thing I can tell you at this point. Should I have had a different attorney? And I say, yes. But at the time, did I make the best choice? He was my neighbor. Was he the best choice for an attorney in this situation? Heck no.
Do you think you were wrongly imprisoned?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because you don't know our story, but we do. We do.
You should never have gone to jail?
If you knew us, and if you knew the intimacies, which guess what, are nobody's business now. They don't belong. I wouldn't do that to our marriage. I wouldn't go back to that time and put it in a book. I wouldn't have a movie that tried to, the movie out there that is not true. The book out there is not true. Nothing that's ever, it's like, but
I've never heard you say that before. That
Which part?
You shouldn't have gone to prison.
I did the best that I felt at the time, the decision that I made. And I tried to take the guilty plea back when I realized I was tricked and coerced into it. I tried to take it back, and it was a few weeks after. And I have said that before, and I think someone can watch some Larry King Live. The problem is that the programs are edited. Anything that we've done, they're edited. People, it's like things are taken out. Nobody wants to hear what really happened with why did I take that guilty plea, and the parts about our intimate relationship and what happened back then.
Well, I'm not asking you about that. I think you'll appreciate. And I'm not prosecuting the case.
No,
I'm not saying you
like,
did something wrong.
Even to say to you, I just know that this whole thing, that I just want to tie up and just really wrap up because I feel like it was left loose, is it's just absurd to think that 13-year-olds are not having sex and they're not pursuing it in a very deliberate, knowing way. It's absurd. Okay, so I just want to say that there are continual scholastic and legal dialogues, committees with psychologists, with legal authorities. They still, to this day, are trying to do their best, combining like all of the layers of how do we manage this? We have to manage teenage pregnancy. How can we best do this? Should we put a strict liability law? Call it this big glaring word. Put the word rape there so that it at least takes some of the pressure. How can we go after all of it? Because it's rampant. How can we look like what Philly said? How can we look we can't. The courts don't have time to look at, well, what were your feelings? What were your feelings? Well, did you do this or who did this? And the courts, nobody has the money for that. Strict liability, just no.
I accept it's not black and white. What about your position, Billy? Should Mary have been sent to prison?
I don't think so. I mean, that's from my point of view, from being on the inside and knowing a little more details about everything. You know, me living with, you know, knowing who she was.
How tough were those prison years for you when, I mean, you became a teenage father?
I went in a really deep depression during that time because of the no contact order, and I was just kind of just left by myself. So I went into a really deep depression, and I was getting into trouble, doing a lot of things I wasn't supposed to be doing things, anything that I could possibly get a laugh out of or have some sort of happiness feeling. So I was doing it all because I was really suffering inside.
How dark was it for you?
I would say it was pretty dark. There's a lot of people I meet now that, you know, they recognize me and they would tell me these stories of how I met them and what we did together. And I was like, wow. Like, I'm really sorry. I don't remember any of it.
What was it? Was it the weight of parenthood? Was it missing Mary while she was behind bars?
I believe it was missing Mary. It wasn't just simple as just missing her. It was more of, you know, not being able to talk anything through because I was getting told by a lot of people what I was feeling, what my feelings were, and what she was to me, and I just knew the truth, you know, of what it was between us, and it was just really hard to convince anyone, you know. I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, relationships like that are okay. They're not. I would say in our situation and what happened between us, you know, shouldn't have been anybody's business. It wasn't like she was out, you know, looking out for young boys or anything like that. What happened between us was just, it happened. I mean, I can't really say any negative, or I don't have any negative things to say about it.
It just is what it is. It just happened.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about it, I mean, it's almost like just any relationship that just happens. You know, you could be working with somebody for years, and then one day you're just like, wow, I'm in love with this person. And then you guys get together, and then people are sitting there questioning you, how did you guys fall in love? But the only thing is with people or normal age relationship like that is that they don't get asked, like, do you think it was wrong that you guys fell in love or anything like that? And for our situation, you know, that's one of the things we suffer with in it is being asked these questions, and which has become our life. So for me, I guess I just know how to answer it a little better. I feel better answering it because back then I didn't know how to answer it. But I guess, I don't know. I guess forever in my mind, it's always going to make sense more than it will the other person listening. So.
Do you both feel like you're soulmates?
Soulmates can come, you know, anyone.
I don't really like that term.
Are you still in love?
I would say yes. Whew. No, I think that marriage there's a labor. I would say anyone that's married will no, there's a labor of love. That term is there for a reason. So in love, I'm pretty scientific.
I would say there's all, sorry, cutting you off, but I would say there's all kinds of different types of love. You know, I mean, there's people who, I've seen marriages where they make it work. They might have fallen out of love somewhere in the relationship, but they somehow just make it work for if it's for the kids or if it has to do with any personal issues that they're having they make it work, and sometimes they fall back in love. Sometimes it doesn't work, and then there's just all, I don't know. I don't want to get into it because there's.
Well, I think that in love is actually, if you look scientifically into it, and they came out with some tests.
There'll be true romantics absolutely horrified about
I'm
you
sorry.
bringing science into this.
I'm sorry. The science is that it equates to the same thing that in the brain, in love, and it only lasts for a little while. I think they say maybe 6 months or maybe a little bit longer, but it's no different how it activates the brain. And it's for a purpose. It acts like cocaine does on the brain. Now, these are new tests. Look it up, everyone. I don't know. I can't name the scientist.
Love, the new cocaine.
I don't think it's really new, but it actually activates the same part of the brain as is cocaine. So it's like being on a drug. And so it does eventually go away. It's supposed to, though. And it's supposed to bring people together. And so you have that nice high, and you don't notice anything about the person except, no, everything is perfect, right?
I know
And
every relationship
everything
in
is
the
perfect.
whole wide world has
Everybody
challenges.
loves the in love.
I'm not asking.
right?
I'm not asking you whether you've had a flawless, perfect relationship, because I know that doesn't exist. I mean, I can't get near it.
Haven't you been in love before?
I have, and I've failed at
Do you
every
know-
attempt.
No, does it
I
last
have.
for about 6 months?
It lasts for a little bit longer than that.
Okay, a little bit longer, the in love.
But-
I just heard about these tests, and I was like, that's so true.
But can I ask you,
that
like,
in love
is it
lasts
the
for-
this is what I'm interested in, is whether you, Mary, you think you're almost in love with, and I don't mean this to sound disrespectful, the idea of being in love, in the sense that if you took love out of the equation, out of this equation, what are you left with? Is it bare criminality, or is it something else?
I love him more today than I did when I was in love and high on whatever drug that someone wants to. I love him more today. I hope everybody in marriage gets there. I hope they get past that place where you say, oh my gosh, I was in love with you once, but now I see all these things, and I don't know, I just, when I made his lunch the other day, and
It's funny
told
that
you about it before-
she
before
still
we
gets
met.
up. She still gets up at
Before we
3
met.
a.m. She gets up at 3 a.m. and makes your lunch. I find that incredible. I mean,
She's still awake.
well, the other night I was still awake, and I said, I don't want to get up at 6 when he does, so I'm going to make it first. Sometimes it's in the morning, but sometimes it will be, it just depends on my schedule the next day, but
can you give me a bit of a picture of husband and wife? I mean, what's he like as a husband?
oh, now.
Probably terrible.
It doesn't.
She's not going to say you're
doesn't-
terrible on
okay.
camera.
You know how he.
Just
no.
listen closely
No,
to this bit.
listen. Do you know how when he said he loves every part of himself?
Yeah.
I do too, even the rotten parts.
What about as parents? I mean, you both seem to me, from a distance, to be absolutely sensational parents. Is Mary a good mother?
She's a really good mother. Yeah. I think I'm really grateful for a lot of the stuff that she's imprinted in the girls.
Like what?
Just the way, how they treat others, and with their respect for others and other people's things. And, yeah, pretty much that.
There's
Their
little.
morals of that stuff.
There's a lot of people, Villy, who wouldn't survive, the relationship wouldn't survive more than 7 years with one partner being in prison. Was it difficult to stay the course?
No. I actually dated while she was in there. I wanted to live my life. I mean, there was no contact. There was a lot that I was going through.
Is that hard to hear, Mary?
Oh, that he dated?
We
No.
we had an agreement.
I didn't even.
What was the
well,
agreement?
We did?
You were like, go.
Oh, yeah, I knew. He needed
So we had this agreement that she was going to be away for a long time, and I was going to be, not to wait, to just do whatever, whatever's meant to be is going to be.
It was kind of your youth.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
So-
always the intention that he would, but when I was there and you asked me, part of me wasn't believing, and I didn't mind if I felt so fulfilled, and I thought everybody in the world, if once in your life you have what we had back then, the union, no, I thought, I have it for a lifetime. And it didn't matter if we got back together that you did.
What does the future look like for the both of you? Where does the story of Mary and Billy end?
That Mary does her best every single day. And that's how the story ends.
And for Billy?
I'll go with that.